We were gonna before we started, I ran by you if I could read something out from Jake Stratton-Kent. You like Jake Stratton-Kent?
I've heard a lot of good things about him, but I've never like read into his work deeper.
On his new second edition of the True Grimoire is out now, which is one of the best bang for your bucks you'll ever get in a brilliant book. Like, I mean, it's been considered a must read for years, but this is what he said on LHP, RHP, question mark, nope. Are you ready for it?
Go for it.
I won't do his accent. I'm not busy, proud, or tired. So let's illustrate the uselessness of RHP, LHP to Western magic historically and practically. So this represents very much the perspective I've always sort of seen these things from. The historical source, he says, of the concept of such a division is Blavatsky. I grew up in a Waldorf school, so I was very familiar with the Steiner-Blavatsky key ideas as they affected the spiritual world when I was an early teen learning this stuff, who intended all practical magic to be covered by left in order to establish a monopoly on miracles, perhaps. He really does have the best sense of humor on these things. She reserved particular venom for the grimoires and practical Kabbalah, though there's no evidence she knew much about either. Only theoretical occultism, hers, was permitted, and therein resided the so-called right-hand path. Do nothing, just keep up the membership fees. It has no previous history in Western magic prior to this, and its appearance is specific to the occult revival, a movement that may have been somewhat premature with cunning folk and others still extant at a social distance from the drawing room magic preferred by the hidden masters. Even imagining, as so many do deludedly, that there is a moral division in practical magic where this dichotomy can be force-fit, it simply does not work out in a historical context and adds nothing to our understanding when examining sources. The most notorious handbook of undisguised black magic in Europe, no prizes for guessing the title, can be used for numerous beneficial and altruistic purposes. So this manual, which operates by the actions of demons specifically, is readily employable to protect your friends and loved ones. It includes medicinal interests. Meanwhile, there are plenty of angelic manuals that can be turned to smiting. Surprise, yes. Magic yes. is amoral and only makes historical and practical sense when understood that way. So with RHP, LHP, we're back with blanket condemnation of practical magic in general as naughty. We're looking at a specifically anti-magical stance emanating from a would-be messiah or religious leader, and that verbotenism from religious authorities is precisely where the only real historical precedent for such dualistic nonsense resides.
Brilliant.
Great post, eh?
Very, very witty and very eloquently written. Yeah, I mean, we have a huge stick up our asses, the whole intellectualist, you know, high class, occult mystical tradition of the Western esoteric revival. But see, here's the thing. You can't say that it does not exist in any way, because the angelic grimoires and people who work with angels, they're just like way less to pursue, you know, baneful magic and violence for petty reasons, because they haven't given into these powers of darkness. So they will be more, you know, compelled to act with compassion or like just in self-defense. But then at the same time, like I've lived through so many of these situations, and you know, there is no actual division like on the actual battlefield. It's like trying to say that in a war, like one side is virtuous and the other side is the villains. Like, no, you're freaking shooting at each other and killing each other. Like you're the same, you're engaging in the same thing. And it makes me marvel when I see people nowadays eating up all the wartime propaganda, which comes out with every single war. And they think it's like being a fan of a football club. Like, am I a fan of this green color football club or this blue color football club? I will put it on my t-shirt. I'm a cool guy, you know, I will shout a slogan. No, it's a fucking war. People are dying, lives are being ruined. It will be felt for generations. And you dumbasses are acting as if it was a football match.
Yeah.
So I just don't hold a whole lot of faith in humanity when I see stuff like that. And let's argue about black and white magic, because that to me at least makes some sense. Like we can, you know, like we can gain something from this age-old feud and rehashing it.
Well, hopefully a few of you will go check out Jake Stratton-Kent's Patreon. We know, I'm sure his family could use support and all that. Blessings to him. We'll send off the love of Jesus and Osiris and Beelzebul to Jake Stratton-Kent. But yeah, no, really, folks, amazing scholar, and I hope you explore more after that fun little post, which it seems like you agree with, essentially.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's always good to study history, because history has been obfuscated, interpreted, lied about.
Yeah.
Still maintains like some elements, but it's like via positiva and via negativa of like knowing God. Like you either know what God is, or you explore everything that God isn't, like all the abominable acts that black magicians have been engaging in. And I guess you can get enlightened like that as well. There's stories of it, you know, of Zen masters who would drink so much that they would stop being drunk, and then nothing would affect them physically, and they would just engage in all the most shocking actions because they were enlightened. Like the yogis, you know, who smear shit all over themselves, they sleep rough, they swear off all their positions. Like that's the left-hand path, the Aghori hermits of India. They still exist. Meditate upon corpses in cemeteries.
So it's an interesting contention that dichotomy doesn't play out historically in the West, and is really something that was superimposed on it with Blavatsky and the slow 100-year rise through the New Age that we've sort of seen.
Which we have currently, you know, we had folk magic and witchcraft the entire time. We had the witchcraft revival, and we have what I personally believe is just like groups of people reincarnating who just come up with the right ideas at the right time, and then it's revived from practitioners. Practitioners start talking to demons, they write grimoires, they describe beings that were never described before. People start calling them, you know, and then the ball gets rolling. So like the tradition, it's found in books, it's found in families, bloodlines, folklore, oral traditions, and sometimes it just seemingly comes out of nowhere, and then it's right there, and then it's everywhere.
Yeah, that's for sure.